Good night and welcome to Fear nor Favor. Tonight we have a special program because we have some special people here with us. I will let them introduce themselves and then we'll get into the sum and substance as to why they are here. Starting at my extreme right, introduce yourself.
My name is Shaliko Edmid.
Good night. My name is Makalia Tucker.
Good night. My name is Shafi Joseph.
Good night. My name is Jeremy Wells.
Okay, these are students who are here to have a debate and then thereafter a discussion. And the topic for tonight is that males create more problems for our society than females. And you could of course imagine what the opposite would be. So the males create more problems for our society, and the males will say it is the females who create more problems. So we are going to give them a chance. We are going to give them a chance to debate. But immediately after the debate, we'll still bring up some topics and them discuss it amongst themselves, of course, in an orderly manner. They will instruct to each other, choose words that are soft in touch, so to speak, like a little, not too harsh a word. Get your opponent, do what you have to do, but you must be respectful. We are being listened by many persons. Okay, so we're expecting a good show here tonight. And there was a toss of the coin, and the female won the toss, but they had a choice as to whether to speak first or to facilitate guys in doing that. And Michaela Tucker decided that she would let the guys go first. And as such, Mr. Joseph is going to lead us off. So without any further ado, we do hope that you enjoy. You'll have an opportunity to call after the debate and give your opinion, because certain things might be mentioned that you have issues with, or you might just be told. So let us get off the mark and give them a good start. But before we do that, sponsor, please give them a little chance to get everything together.
If you have a dream, what are you waiting for? Development Bank has what you need and more. We aim to build stronger communities. That's why we have so many opportunities. On student loans, we make a positive difference in your life, in your life, in your life, in your life. Yeah, financing your home, we make a positive difference in your life, in your life, in your life. Yeah. Development Bank St. Kitts and Nevis. We make a sustained positive difference in your life.
Welcome to the customer support portal that made it easier for you to contact us. It starts with your question, email, a message, phone call, or a search on our website. Our CSP provides prompt and efficient solutions to your problems. We pride ourselves on treating our clients responsibly and ensuring your information is kept safe. Log on to www.skndp.net and send us a ticket or email us at customersupport@skndp.com. You may also call us directly at
Welcome back, and we go straight into our debate. Mr. Joseph, the mic is yours.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Our listening and viewing party. Tonight we will be debating about how women have more problems in society than men. To begin on this topic, we would like to say women are very privileged compared to men. Women are often seen as more valuable in society and more favorable in many different things, and because of this, women are often not treated equal as men. Even though a man and a woman will commit the same exact crime, women will often have less years in prison than men do. Women often have easier time with many of other aspects in life. Women have everything easier than men do in terms of um, in terms of social standings, in terms of and social respect. Women are often seen as more valuable, more likable in society than men are, and because of this, women often see themselves as superior instead of equal to men. Another point I would like to make is that men make up most of our labor force. Men often will go to the most gruesome and most grueling type of treatment to actually provide for the families, and women themselves be taking up garbage, sweeping out drains, cutting grass, and all kind of different dangerous and disgusting jobs where women are not normally doing these type of jobs. Men make up most of our labor force and do most of our gruesome and actual damaging work. Women often accuse men of multiple and different topics such as rape, sexual assault, many other different things women accuse men of doing, which is very disgusting behavior, to be honest. Men actually get treated poorly because of this, and the name of a man will be put right through many different aspects because women will not accept or put up with the fact that men actually benefit them in many different ways and aspects in life. Women actually look for it, yet still want a man to provide for them, often being hypocritical in what they say and in their actions, wanting to defend themselves while doing disgusting and humiliating deeds to men and actually about men. Women actually use this superiority and the fact that they have this kind of privilege to create like a bubble around themselves, making themselves feel superior to men in many different ways in life. Jeremy?
No, not yet. It is hot.
Good night to my listening audience. Good night to my worthy opponents. You stated that women did get less consequences, but isn't true that everyone pays the consequences for their actions? Even though they commit crimes, they still go to jail and pay the price of those actions. Sorry. And even though men take up parts in our labor force, do we still not see women doing work? Even though men benefit us, do we still not do much for you, especially since mothers raise children? Thank you.
No, you have to put your last.
Okay.
Put your main point.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I strongly believe that males are more responsible for the problems in society than females. I am of the belief that this is based on dominant gender seen in our social issues. There are more men incarcerated at Her Majesty's prison than women. Our country is filled with social issues, especially crimes like gang or gun violence, theft, and assault, either physical or sexual. The main consequence of these criminal activities is sentenced to life in prison. If there are more men who engage in illegal activities than women, chances are there are more males in jail than females. Her Majesty's prison is significantly populated with men of different age ranges. Some male pastors exploit and misuse church members for money, and that is a serious issue. The Bible states in Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 27 that he who is greedy for gain troubles his own house, but he who hates bribe will live. Some pastors, particularly male pastors, exploit their members and use them as monetary pawns. I understand the concept of contributing to churches or religious institutions, but when they go over the limits, that is unacceptable. It refers to the same, but they take a whole yard. They are misusing the church to gratify their greed. Instead of being wealthy in the Lord's word, some male pastors desire to be rich in possessions, which often corruption. Men are sometimes involved in when women are against each other. Sometimes against each other. If one deciphers the problem, the root of the problem may be based on a man. That man may cause conflict between those women. Women maim or injure each other and may even engage in fatal incidents. Some males drain the economy because they are reluctant to find employment. A portion of men in St. Kitts, especially young men, do not generally seek employment. Therefore, this leads to their lack of contribution to Social Security, which is a hindrance to those who pay taxes but are unable to obtain benefits because of men who are reluctant to find a job or even formulate a career. They are constantly draining the financial resources of our country. These men loiter on corners, abuse alcohol or illegal substances, or smoke. They also engage in illegal activities which may result in their incompetence and disqualification in the world of work. Some of them didn't acquire a proper education or dropped out of school. The government would have to support them financially because of their unwillingness to make a living and provide for themselves instead. The cycle of fathers leaving their child's mother is an ongoing problem today. This is a prevalent trend in our society. Some fathers leave their child or children's mother and refuse to play a part in that child's life without a valid reason. You decided to engage in sexual activities with this woman, which led to a child or children being produced. Why are you not taking responsibility or accountability to raise that child? The mother is then a single mother. In the case where a male child is produced and the father is absent in that child's life, there can be impacts on both on the child development and the society. These boys grow up without a, and due to their lack of they feel that it is all right to not have a father in their life and will continue doing the same actions until the cycle is broken. They may also resort to participating in illegal activities because their mothers are unable to control them. For some of the boys who wish to have a fatherly figure in their lives to provide guidance on ways to behave in society and control and contribute to our country so that this stigma can be lifted off of our society. Thank you.
Okay, we would have had 2 leaders. We would have had it 2 leaders. And now we are going to have Jeremy, his leader.
To our two opponents and to everyone who tuned in and is listening at home.
Let me remind you before you continue that you're supposed to be putting your main points now. You're not rebutting what she just said. You have to put your main points, and then at the end of the day, your captain will rebut on your behalf, right? So let us get into it.
Right, so for one of my main points, I have that women like to believe that they are not equal to but are rather superior to their male counterparts. Most modern women have the notion that women are better than men in every way, shape, or form, and this can be disproven, but it is a rather troublesome mindset to rid of or to properly address without offending anyone or saying anything that can better land you in some hot water. Women also they can be very hypocritical sometimes when it comes to certain as when out on dates. If you were the first one who asked the other girl or boy, you be to cover. Generally speaking, it's usually men who cover the first date, or sometimes the bill if they want to. But most women are saying that they don't need a man or they don't want a man with anything or expect anything from men or men. And when they're out on the said first date, they would make no gesture or no effort to hit the bill or offer to help cover the bill or anything of that sort. Most of them also expect men to cover their expenses that they either bring to the relationship or come upon or may come upon later on in the relationship, and that's not a problem that can be discussed between you two. Women pose a greater threat to themselves than men, because more often than not, it's other women who you would see bringing down each other, often gossiping about what their friends or someone they don't like has done. Women like to believe that they are not. They often bring down men to uplift themselves and are not like they don't have a problem with bringing down gender to uplift their own or to properly address the issue that they are trying to get to without bringing down men in the process. And that's something that needs to be worked on because both parties can sit and talk and come to a conclusion and agreement without offending or bringing down or tampering with someone else's friction while doing so.
Okay, thank you very much. We now have Shanique admin to second her lead.
Okay, good night to all my listening opponents and everyone who tuned in. I strongly believe that males are responsible for the problems in society and females. One of my main points is more male involvement in gun or gang violence. In today's society, you mostly hear about men involved in gang or gun violence. They be on the corner of roads, smoking and drinking almost any time of the day. These types of actions encourage younger children or youth, mostly boys, to be involved in these types of indecent actions. Lots of gangs are being developed in today's society. Many of these gang members are involved in stealing, committing crimes, and the selling of weed to teenage boys who are supposed to be in school, trying to become something great in life, not doing illegal actions. Too many teenage boys are influenced by these grown men to be involved in gun violence and joining their gangs, which may prevent them from getting a proper education and causing them to drop out of school or even ending up in jail for a longer period of time at such a young age. My second main point is domestic violence. Women being abused by men, either mentally, physically, or sexually. As we all know, we mostly hear about men taking advantage or abusing women. Women experience higher rates of repeated victimization and are much more likely to be seriously hurt. Domestic violence against women linked with a wide range of reproductive health issues such as sexual transmitted disease, including HIV, miscarriages, and risky sexual health behavior. Sexual abuse often gives rise to a wide range of negative actions, embarrassment, and existential questions such as why me? Mental abuse is most commonly instigated by an intimate partner, most likely the male in the relationship. Mental cruelty includes the calling of offensive names, public embarrassment, giving direct order, and monitoring your whereabouts. If mental cruelty is continuous from these men towards women, the survivors can develop a long-lasting negative impacts on their physical and mental health, including depression, generalized anxiety disorder, stress, chronic pain, and sleep disorders. Physical abuse is using physical force that injures you or puts you in danger. Physical abuse is mostly done by men in dating or married relationships. Some men feel as if they are the more stronger and manlier ones in the relationship and could take advantage of women by hitting them and controlling them. Physical abuse including burning, strangling, and slapping of most women by men. No man has the right to physically, mentally, nor sexually abuse no woman. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take a quick break and we will come back with rebuttals. The captains will rebut.
If you have a dream, what are you waiting for? The development bankers, but needing more. We need to build stronger communities. That's why we have so many opportunities. Business loans, student loans, we make a positive difference in your life, in your life, in your life, yeah.
Contributions from all four debaters. Now you would have a female captain to rebut what, and then thereafter you'll have the male captain rebutting what females would have said. So get right into it with Michaela Tucker.
A pleasant good evening once again. In the beginning, you stated that men pay more consequences than women. But isn't it true that everyone pays the consequences for themselves? And even though you stated that men take up most of our labor forces, don't we see women doing their jobs? Going to work daily? You also stated that you benefit us with so much. But in reality, we benefit you. We play the parts in this society. We are the mothers of this society. We the majority of the upbringing of you young men. The topic of being ungrateful or unappreciative was also brought up. We as women strive to be independent, so why would we need you to provide for us? You also mentioned that women are always against each other or mostly against each other. Partaking in gun violence or gang violence, men. Women mostly accuse men of cheating. If you weren't having doubt instilled by you, the conversation of infidelity would not be in action. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Joseph.
Good night again, ladies and gentlemen. To start, good night again, ladies and gentlemen. To start off, I like to have respect for me, honorable opponents, and the righteous points. But to start off this, and you just said we talked about the labor force, and you said how women part of said labor force, but we are also going to talk about the fact that men actually do more dangerous and disgusting jobs within the streets. Men clean drains, men are mostly cleaning drains, picking up trash, doing all kinds of different dangerous and gruesome jobs to provide for them and their families. You talk about you having independence, well, you also want a man to provide for you and take care of you, and also still want a man to help you take care of the household as well. You talk about men being involved in gun violence and actual gang violence and everything. But my question to that is, are women not also a part of say gun violence and gang violence? Do women not also influence be in relationships with said gangsters and gunmen, whatever you like to call them, and be cheating on gangsters with the gangsters and eventually creating wars and actual conflicts with each other? Do women not target each other mostly, and do women not target each other by themselves? While men actually talk to each other and respect each other, women often bring each other down and treat each other with hard talks and disrespect. You talk about how you speak about how males are mostly prison. That may be true, but women equally do crimes. We're not saying that everyone doesn't pay for the crimes eventually, but the argument we're trying to make is that even though everyone pays for the crimes, it is always women that get an easier sentence than men. A woman would kill a man, she would get 5 to maybe 15 years. A man will kill another man, he will get to 20 to 25 years. We not get the same sentence. We not be treated equally. We talk about how sexual abuse and rape. True, men cannot rape, women cannot make rape men, but what about the countless assault, sexual assaults upon which women do upon men? I talk about said sexual assaults that are said to be punks or weak or inferior. So we're not going to talk about that part. We're not going to talk about the fact that women use the superiority or the fact, like you said, that you raise us into becoming older and into shaping our future, but also beat us equally. You talk about how men are not there for their children and how men are not there to raise their children. We will not talk about the fact that most women actually have sexual actions with men and also sometimes not have a child, not end up being theirs. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the fact that women, you have more sexual protection during sex than men do. While men have condoms and limited sexual protection, women also have the same and added sexual protection while having sex. Both parties are influenced in creating a child, and both parties are equally responsible for the child. But isn't the woman the ones that open her legs? I'm sorry for disrespect, but isn't women the ones that open their legs to invite men in? Women often, women are without debate have more sexual partners than men. Typically, typically have more sexual partners without than men, because women are always seen as attractive no matter their shape or way it looks. While a man who doesn't have the same like aspect or expression is seen as disgusting and weird and creepy or whatever. Women naturally have more sexual partners and will naturally get more sexual transmitted diseases than men. Thank you.
Okay, there we had it. All four parties make presentations and then rebuttals on both sides. Of course, we would have to declare a winner, and even though the males were strong in the rebuttal, the main conversation, the narrative, was a little less weak than that of a little less weaker than those of the females. And as a result of that, it is easy to declare that the females would have won. But then you have the rebuttal being shared equally amongst the leaders, but the females would have gotten quite an edge over the males. So let's give a round of applause for the overall effort. But our discussion is not finished as yet. We will continue to put out points, and we will ask, I would call on somebody to give their views, and we call on somebody else who did the counter views. Okay, so we'll continue after this break to acknowledge and give mileage to our sponsor.
Welcome to the customer support portal. We have made it easier for you to contact us. It starts with your question, email, a phone call, or a search on
Welcome back to Fear in Our Favor. And I really like to commend the youngsters. I think that the little tension, the little suspense, the little first timers, then they did a good job. And I really want to commend them and commend them highly because this is where things would start for young people. Okay? And when you see them, I want you to really commend them and commend them highly. They did us all proud. Now we're going to continue this discussion in the form of a debate, but I'll put something out there and ask for their input. Maybe not both of them would get a chance to make input on a particular subtopic, but main topic is males present more problems to society than females, and vice versa, the males, I would say otherwise. In the beginning, there was Adam and Eve. Where does the blame goes for sin? Who do you think responsible for sin? Jeremy.
Okay, for this one, me personally, I gonna say that it's Adam to blame because the Bible states that Adam was when he gave the rule not to eat from the tree, and Eve was made after he already talked to Adam, after God already talked to Adam. And so when Eve ate of the fruit and she bring it for Adam, if Adam didn't, then God would just simply make a new wife or a new girlfriend for him to be with. But because he was already familiar with her and in love with her and all these kind of things, he ate from the fruit too. So he work out if she gonna deal with the consequences that he can deal with the same thing too. And then that's what really happened, and I believe that is his fault because if he didn't eat from the fruit, then something could have been arranged between he and God, and then he would have get somebody else to replace Eve.
Let us take note that we're not debating now. So if a female has a view that is in favor of male, it is okay to speak about it. What is your view on that, Tucker?
I would agree with him. Because even though Eve was persuaded to eat the fruit, Adam still had a choice. He still had an opinion. So I will put the blame on Adam for that. But each of them will take accountability for eating that.
Okay, during your debate, you indicated that females nurture the men, and you put some emphasis on it, which I really appreciated. If you would have nurtured these young men so well, how come you have such a large population of a gang culture? I mean that the woman might have failed in her attempt to nurture the males in property. Do you see it that way? Edwin? If you did such a good job, why these males still turn out to be the same way that you said they were? Nuisance to society, all sort of stuff. Why if you did a great job, why did it turn out like that?
I really don't know, to be honest.
Anybody could input?
I feel like it's part of the woman fault, the mother fault. I feel like it's part of it. Part of it.
So you're saying when a male turns bad, per se, it is mainly due to the mother or the father?
Not really none of them. Just part of the mother and like the outside, like in society, the influence of
Am I hearing that you can do your best to nurture a male, your son, and he still will depart from what you might have said to him to keep on the straight and narrow?
Yes.
Tucker?
Yes.
Yes wouldn't suffice. How is that possible? We have radio, we have television, we have peer pressure, we have so many, we have songs, we have the DJs play certain types of songs. So even though you might have tried your best with your son or your child at home, when they come outside, it's a whole different environment. How can we fight that? Do you tell your child do not listen to certain type of music? Do you tell them not to associate with certain people. What do you say to a child upon leaving home so that they do not become a nuisance to society influenced by peer pressure?
I would tell them to think before they do certain actions. And if they do not, then most likely they would learn from their problems, and in the future they would know not to do it, and they can also relay this information on individuals.
Joseph, she seemed to be indicating that she would instruct them along the positive path. You can take an animal to water, but you cannot make that animal drink. How difficult it is to really nurture males, especially, so that they won't depart from the proper nurturing that they got from home.
To be honest, it's very difficult because the mothers had to stress out a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I also agree with Tucker on what she said. It's like I say, my mom always tells me, "You are from this place, you are not of this place. If you are weak-willed and you are weak-minded to fall into these acts, it is your fault and your accountability for what you have done. It is not your parents, not your mother, not your father, no one else to blame but about your decisions. You cannot turn back the hands of time and go back to wherever you want to start from. You can't do that. The things you do, the things you've done, that you've said in the past, they will go with you forever in the future. So, in doing these acts, you get into these things, think about what you want for yourself. Think about what you do. Think about what you want to say. I'm not saying that everything is sunshine and rainbows life, because that's not true. A lot of times things are black and white. But before you act, think before you act. Jump into something because you see somebody else doing it. Like the saying goes, if you see somebody jump off a cliff, you're gonna jump too.
So they could be more careful in decision making. What about those homes where you only have a mother? Do you think that a lack of a male figure, male parent, the father, contributes a lot to those situations, Jeremy?
In a situation of a home without a father figure or someone, a male, an older male to look after or help bring up a son, I think that will greatly affect the young boy in how he is brought up and how he will out later on. Because there's a saying in the Bible, raise up a child in the way he should grow, so that when he's old he will depart from it. But if you're not, well, you can't be around your child every minute of their life, or most of the times you don't see them for about 8 hours in the day when you drop them off for school. You can exactly keep up what's going on at school or what sort of influence they have at school from their peers or on their school. They might see some boy on the block doing something that's not generally quite beneficial for a young boy to be engaged in, and they might pick it up out of seeing it every day or almost every day, and maybe be some influence from in the neighborhood or kids they may see up and down the place. And if there's no male or father figure in the home when the boy is coming up, he'll have a very hard time figuring out what kind of person he should be when he grows up to properly contribute to the household in a positive way and not a lot of problems.
Youths are usually filled with a lot of exuberance, and everybody start dating. And sometimes you might have a female playing the field, a male playing the field, because he or she is not ready to settle down. And sometimes you find a baby might come. And that is the time when the males start to gather doubts as to whether or not that child is truly his. And it can lead to some embarrassing situations. However, when you have a husband and a wife living together, and the husband takes the female, the wife, to court to get the order for the DNA test. He wants a DNA test. How impactful would that be on the marriage? What do you think happened thereafter? Tucker, this one is for you, and then we come back to Joseph. How is it a husband taking his wife for to the court to get an order to do a DNA test. How is that?
So in both instances where, let's say, the DNA test tested negative that the child isn't his, or if it tested positive, I feel like it will still have a negative impact on the relationship. Because if the child is tested negative, then the father would be filled with doubt. He will feel deflated to know that that child does not biologically belong to him. And also, if it comes out positive, his mother will feel also deflated because she thought that this man trusted her with her actions. Thank you.
Joseph.
100% agree with what Tucker said as well. I've always thought infidelity in itself was also stupid and unnecessary. But it will always have a negative effect no matter who he is. But I mean, you in a marriage, you love this person, and you go and take a DNA test to find out the child is not yours. It will have a negative effect on the father and mother. It will not only affect them in the marriage personally, but it will affect them outside. It will affect their families. It will affect the people that watch them, the people how they act.
But they can keep it a secret, though. The findings might be kept as a secret. What happens if nobody else knows? How are you supposed to feel if it comes back positive that the child is the husband? How is she supposed to feel going forward?
She will still feel objectified. She will still feel like her husband doesn't trust her, and that will create uncertainty throughout the marriage and this may displeasure throughout the marriage.
What are your views, Edmund, where a husband goes for DNA test to confirm one way or the other?
Repeat your question.
Do you think a husband should be taking a DNA test to ascertain, to find what child between himself and his wife belong to him?
No, because as you say, husband, they're married.
Give up your voice.
As you say, husband, they are married, so he shouldn't supposed to be worrying about them because she's supposed to be loyal in the relationship, in the marriage.
Yes.
And
we have instances where a male would have supported a child until it was 16, only to find out that that child was never. And he gave his weekly support man $125, $100. At that juncture, what you think should happen? Should the man be able to take the woman to court and get back his money that he would have invested in that child? What would you do? What would you do, Jeremy, as a father who would have presumably taken on a child as yours that turned out not to be yours around the age of 16? Would you call back for all the money that you would have invested?
No, I wouldn't bring up money in this kind of situation because for that to happen to the child at the age of 16, well, they would be aware of their surroundings and what's going on. So more often than not, the situation, it will negatively affect the child because they may want to know who their biological parent is or who's their real father, and that can also cause a rift in me and the child's relationship. And about the money that I invested in the upbringing of the child, that was a part of the agreement when me and my wife got married. So even though the child is a product of infidelity, it's still my responsibility.
That is better or worse? Better or worse?
Well, that's a part of the for better or worse. So until that was part, and me and the child too, because that's my child, even though I'm not the biological father.
Suppose the biological father was ascertained, you get to know, and he came for the child. What would you do?
Well, I can't exactly stop him from seeing his child, but you can't tell me that after 16 years and knowing that you had one, you wait till the big now to come take them from me.
He never knew.
Well, if he never knew and the mother hid that
The
from
DNA
him,
test, right?
well, that's something else. And me and him, we can sit down and talk about how we will introduce him to the child and have a proper conversation between me, him, and the child, so we can all come to an agreement and an understanding that I may not be your biological father, but I was the one who raised you and brought you up, so you're more familiar with me, but he is your biological father, so you can arrange times to get to know each other and catch up on what he's missed in the past 16 years.
Joseph, your views on that. Keep your voices up, please.
I honestly don't know how you should react to
How
a
would
situation.
you react? So let us not give you Ian's case. Let us give your own case. You was given a child, and at the age of 16, the realization came about saying that the child that you've been looking after is biologically not yours.
I wouldn't know immediately how to react to that type of situation. But regardless, I raised that child for 16 years. I've bled with him, cried with him, be with him 24/7. I will not let anybody take that child from me. I wouldn't take any money or any legal action against my wife or anything like that. But I've raised that child for 16 years, and regardless of blood, that is still my child.
Yes, but if the biological father wants a child,
He cannot take it from me.
he cannot take it. The court can decide that he can get it.
Yeah,
Yes.
but these hands will.
Legally, the child is the husband's. Legally. You understand? So if a female would have gotten married to somebody and a child came and the realization came upon us that the child was not the biological son or daughter of the said father, presumed father, you will have to go to lawyer, because if the child started to carry that person's name already, you have to plead to that father to basically hand over the child. Because even though the DNA would have said yes, legally the child belongs to the husband. So it's a little struggle between there, and as you come up, try to be careful. Try to be careful. Do you think that a female should have, this was a big argument, let me see if I can put it properly. Do you think that a male should have more than one female partner at a time, knowing that the ratio of female to male is more in favor of the females? How do we correct that? How do we make sure that everybody gets some degree of satisfaction? Because if you have 100 males, 200 females, if you were to do it the ideal way, it's 100, then you'll have 100 females on at it, not getting any love. What do we do? Do we change the laws to facilitate? What do we do? We're from the African culture. Some African men would have 2 wives, 3 wives. And I notice that some of you are very much into the Bible. In some religion, if divorced, the man nor the woman can get involved with anybody else. One of them would have. Are you aware of that?
Yes, yeah.
That's the biblical teaching.
Mhm.
You're aware of that?
Yeah.
That even if you divorce, you cannot. Yeah, go ahead.
The only acceptable instance the Bible gave for divorce was if there's infidelity between the two partners, as in the wife or the husband. If one of them cheated, then that's the only acceptable reason to be divorced in the Bible.
For divorce.
For divorce.
But even after divorce, would you get married to somebody else, even though the party is alive?
They don't say that you can, because if you get divorced, you're supposed to be single until either one of you dies or something of the extreme as happen. But you cannot. The Bible doesn't condone getting remarried. Let's say if you get married to someone that is one of you dies, then you can be remarried. But if you just get a divorce, then you're not supposed to.
Okay. You are coming up issues sooner that you're clear on. Something you need a great area to put into distinction is black and white. Our homes, we think should really be in charge of home. The person who is bringing in that money or the person who is nurturing the children.
I think that both parents should play an equal part in the home and the upbringing of their children that they have together. Whether or not they're the breadwinner of the family or the one who stays at home and more often takes to the child's needs or whatever the child has or needs to be taken care of.
You have the females them going out to work. You have some females making more money than males. Once ago it was the tables would have turned and you have females making more money than the males. What's really happening that cook, sweep out the house and the females should be telling them when to 7:30?
I think both parties should be taking care of household chores, even though one's making more money. It's not the responsibility of the two of them to properly maintain and manage how they have, how they're taking care of the household, to make sure that it's clean. If they have to have guests over, it's well. The both of them should be responsible and take part in managing and
domestic violence, people. We have and females who are physically abusing women and exposing them to mental cruelty. Gets fed up and out of provocation she knows what doing. How do you think the law should look upon?
I think that they should understand her situation, especially if that lady is continuously going to the authorities and reporting the incidents and all the occurrences with this man. And if they play a blind side to it and this woman happens to lose or reach her limit with this man, then I will call it as a act of self-defense.
Or provocation.
Or provocation.
Your views, Joseph.
I agree with Tucker on what she said. If a woman is a degree of provocation, 100%. Mental abuse of any kind is already disgusting, but Tucker, as you said, some women don't really go to the authorities that often and let these things happen to them. Will stay in these type of relationships and get this level of abuse and then go to the authorities. But either way, the men should take responsibility for what they've done, and the women should be many people should be understanding of what the women went through equally, and that's equal for the men as well.
What you think could keep a woman in a very abusive relationship? Give me at least two good examples, Edmund, as to why a female would remain in an abusive.
The female could be financially unstable and love. Some
Love?
women, yeah, some women blindly in love.
Blindly in love.
Mm-hmm.
What are your views on that, Jeremy?
My two reasons would be out of her life, because maybe she did try earlier or in an earlier stage in the relationship to leave the person and he threatened them. in the extreme had nailed them at weapon point. So that may be a major reason as why they're still in the relationship, even though they may be trying to get some help from an outside source to get out, or to get some sort of intervention from an outside party to help them. And also, maybe they just, as she said, maybe they are blindly in love, or they just can't bring themselves to leave the other person because they have such an attachment to them, infatuation. So they're kind of looking past all the bad things that they're doing to them, or the physical, mental abuse, and sort of looking for, hoping for better days in the relationship.
Yeah, but something hoping for this for years, and the injuries are getting worse.
I don't
What?
understand.
Why would they still hang on?
For me personally, I honestly believe is immediately the first thing that I hear when those situations, love and stupidity, immediately. Because a lot of women and men sometimes fall in love with certain people, get abused, get treated horribly, and still stay in the relationship because they love them. And to me, that's just stupid. How could you take this level of abuse and this level of treatment and still go back to the same person over and over? It doesn't make any sense. That's just stupid. Honestly, with that, staying in a relationship like that and being treated like that and still wanted, still saying I love that person, I care about that person, I want to be with that person, etc., is very stupid. Very stupid.
But I think it's you want to thing on that. Go ahead.
And I also believe that some of these women are being gaslit or convinced that these men love them. They may say that I'm only hitting you because I love you. I'm only hitting you out of love. And these women will believe them because in an instant they have nowhere else to go. They have no support. These men are their support financially, with shelter and also other things.
Yeah, you're correct. They have some women who tell you, if my man doesn't beat me, he doesn't love me. And that is a cultural perception, and I think that we need to get from that. Let us take a break, acknowledge our sponsors, and come back. Let us take a break.
I beat you because
Welcome to the customer support portal, where we have made it easier for you to contact us. It starts with your question, email, a message, phone call, or a search on our website. Our CS
On to SugarCityFMSankits.com.
Good evening and welcome back to Fear Not Favor. But let us look at academics. We have a situation that after school, adult education, after school, you check classrooms at CFBC or wherever they're holding out of school classes, you have a very high percentage of females who seem not to be able to get back the males into the classroom. What do you think that is? Jeremy first.
Um, well, speaking of that nowadays, most likely it's because they're mostly involved in illegal activity, or maybe they're just not motivated by anyone at home, like any parent or sibling, or maybe any extended family member to further their education or take schools to begin with. So they kind of just do it until they want to, and then after a while they may feel like it's not worth it, or maybe they don't really or necessarily need, because they may be well off. Their family might be of the middle or upper class, so they may feel like if they don't perform academically, they still have something to fall back on. Or sometimes they just um, not they don't necessarily feel the need to go to school anymore.
Okay, Joseph.
Um, Typically, women are more academically inclined. That's women are more intelligent than men, without debate. Women are naturally more intelligent than men, and
What
gain,
caused you to say that though?
women gain more take in more information than men easily.
Is that scientific?
Yeah,
No.
it's been proven. No, it's actually been
That's a
proven.
perception.
That is actually been proven that women actually take in more information and are actually more intelligent than men.
Go ahead. I'm not going to debate you on it. I'll just give you your freedom to express yourself.
Women, yeah, like though men would also like lose motivation in doing those type of things. But regardless, I honestly believe if you want to do something with your life, and if you really want to do something, you actually try a little bit harder. Even if you are part of the middle class or high class, at least try to like make your life a little bit easier by having a better education.
Tucker?
I feel like some of these men or young boys may come from meager means or poor backgrounds, and they feel the need to not go to school anymore because they might be raised in a single mother home and may take the place, assume the role of the man of the house. So then they want to be breadwinners, they want to bring in money to help and support their mother or other siblings in that family. So going to school might hinder their chances, so they become full-time workers in order to provide.
Yeah, Edmund.
I agree what Tucker said. I was going to say the same exact thing that she said.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that.
Okay. Do you think that in a home you have task for men as distinct from task for women? Like the woman will do the cooking and the man will maybe the chopping on our tree, in our car. What do you think is the perspective on that today?
I think that that's a normal thing, that specific chores at home are done by men and some are done by women, or most are done by women. The most common thing you will see men or boys in the house doing is taking out the garbage or doing any minor repairs around the house. But you'll mostly see women cooking, cleaning, dusting, taking care of the ornaments, those kind of things, and making the place just look nice. You'll mostly find men doing all the hardware work or woodwork, carpentry, and those kind of stuff around the house. Even though they may not be a licensed carpenter, they may just be doing it for a while until one gets there, or just trying it out.
But you don't think that is changing?
Yes, nowadays
You see females doing quite a lot of things that men used to do.
most things that used to be predominantly men doing, you see a lot of females getting into it on it now. One of those things is when you look at the amount of people in the army, I see an increase in the amount of women. I see a lot of women in the police uniforms, the army uniforms, or in general law enforcement in general. Nowadays there's also a spike in women going for higher places in managing sections in the company. You see a lot of female supervisors and on the board of directors of most companies, and I think that's a good thing that they're striving to go up.
We're seeing a little now, they're catching up. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. There's more, a
How
little
come
bit
we-
more equality.
How come we see males going into nursing?
The male and nursing, I think most males tend to stray away from nursing or being a doctor because it's
Not
generally
doctor,
seen.
not doctor, nursing.
Well, nursing, it's generally seen as a female job. You predominantly see females being nurses, so they kind of have the stigma that it's a female job. And like she said earlier, females are generally seen to be the nurturers of society, so they will take up most of those nurturing kind of jobs.
Okay, we seem to be having more females involved in the administrative level at the governmental level. More females are getting into politics. We have more females in the House, the cabinet, or in positions, prominent secretaries, directors. Do you think that that is a good thing for our society, Carter? Tucker?
I honestly do think that it is a good thing in our society. For this can inspire younger girls that there are other roles in society that we can play. We can be in government, we can manage countries, we can go on and better ourselves.
Sometimes when women are in charge, they could be a bit bossier. If you know some of the leaders them that we had around here, Margaret Thatcher, Eugenia Charles, look at the lady in Barbados right now. Those are strong, strong posts. As a result of that, I don't know if it is an inspiration to some other females in the Caribbean, but definitely females are on the move with respect to filling those positions. Okay? Now, what other aspect you find sort of reversing? What about the number of female lawyers? Do we have an increase in the number of female lawyers? What about teachers? We had teachers at the primary school. What about that?
Yeah,
You can't
Most
find a
of
male
Yeah.
teacher teaching
Even
at
in high
the-
schools,
like in my school, you have like female teachers.
only like
That's kind of high school.
Yeah, and like about 40 something women.
both at least maybe 10 at best.
No, we air each white men.
But why is that so long?
I guess it's because like women naturally go into teaching, as like Tucker said. Women are naturally nurturing more than men, so I think like men naturally see teaching as a female job and a female like prospect to do. But that ain't really changing much anymore because, like you said, regardless of who you are, you in the modern society where we live in now, everybody should be able to do what they need to do to survive by themselves and not be able to rely on other people.
Something you have a toss up between the secondary schools and the primary schools. Some of them are primary schools allege that they would have prepared this person with such a strong foundation and they want to know where did it go wrong at the secondary school. Do you think that they should have a junior school, like when you live in primary school, you go to a junior school for first form and second form, and then you go over to the secondary school? Because what you find happening is that students are living in primary school and going to first form at a secondary school doing 12 and 13 subjects, whereas when they came from the primary school, were just about 4 subjects they doing, mainly language arts, social studies, science, and maths. But they transition into these 12 and 13 subjects. And plus, when you go to teachers training in college, you either do primary school education or secondary. We are not hearing anything about the middle school, that is first form and second form. You think that they should reintroduce junior high schools?
Yeah.
I think that they should do that because it would be an easier transition on the new people that are leaving from grade 6 going into first and second form into the secondary well, the setting of secondary school, because to jump from 4 to 16 or from 4 to 12 subjects, it's pretty detrimental to someone's mental health, because they will be struggling to keep up with all subjects and aim to pass all, ideally. And that in itself, that's a very challenging thing to do when you're just learning the subjects for the first time. So I think that if they bring back the junior schools and keep them in from 1 to 2, it will give them proper time to adjust within the 2 years to properly be able to adapt. And then maybe by the time they get to Form 3, then they already know what subjects they plan to do, so they can choose those subjects and get through with CXC easier.
What do you think, females? You think we need back that junior high school?
Yes, I agree with what Jeremy said, because this then enables the younger children to have a better ability to internalize this information and further broaden their capacity, so that when they go to third form, they can also do the CSEC examinations.
Joseph, what are your views?
Um, I do believe that we should introduce junior high schools again, because going from grade 6 where you're doing 4 subjects and simple maths, simple English and all that, and going straight into first form where you're doing like 12, 13 subjects immediately, switching up teachers, going to different classes, dividing up the students and everything, like having a middle part where you could like stay yourself and have a better understanding of what you're doing and what you want to do and what you want to become, and in that area in your life. And so when you go to secondary school, where you reach third form, fourth form, fifth form, you actually have a better understanding and you have a better view on certain subjects or what you want to do, so you could be better in your life.
We realize that when the students now go from primary school to secondary school, they're no longer streaming them. Not like you're going 1G1, 1G2, 1G3, or 1A, 1. They're now putting them in a class bundled together. They have different abilities, but yet they're bundled together. What do you think of that? Because persons at the primary school might not have that incentive to do the work when they reach grade 6, because they want to go into a decent class, a 1 to a 3. You have somebody who might have gone into a 5 or a 6 in the same class with somebody who has the capability of
Being in a 1.
being in a 1 or even in a 2. What do you think is the problem associated with not streaming students going out of primary school to secondary school?
A problem that can come from that is the classes, they may take longer to complete the syllabus that they're meant to or given at the beginning of the year due to the mix of the children. Some of them may take longer to grasp the concept, some of them may find it very difficult to keep up with the rest of the class, and they should be not really separated, but they should be in classes with children of their same level, so they keep a level of success going with them, so that they have sufficient time to properly grasp the concepts before moving on. Because sometimes when you're completing a syllabus and you have a deadline to get the syllabus done before, the slower children in the class may hinder that very much and keep the whole class back.
Or at least the teacher can go quickly ahead, and who get left behind, get left behind. Something like that can happen. Because if they give you a certain time frame to complete a syllabus, you have two things. Either that you go at a speed that will cause you to complete that syllabus, or to slow down considerably to facilitate the students, and maybe only complete about 2/3 of the syllabus at the end of the prescribed time. Talk about what you think about that. Non-streaming.
I honestly feel like some children, some students are more advanced than others. They're more precarious than others. So in this case, with what you, as you said before, with the syllabus, it might hold them back. And the more advanced students, they may start losing interest because they grasp these concepts more easily. So then they feel like everything is easy instead of trying to further their education. They might hold them back more.
Anybody else want to input on that? Let me ask something though. Most of the schools, timetables are very difficult to work out. because you have to try and avoid clashes. And most of the time at a school, you'll find the math teachers are the ones who would assist the head teacher in putting the timetable, overall timetable together. And too often, you have too many clashes. Do you think that it is high time that the government start working on the strength of these students instead of being paternalistic, in other words, telling them what to do? In period 4, you do either chemistry or accounts, and in second period, you do either history or geography. Why don't we get a general idea of what the students want to do instead of dictating to them that this is what we have and you have to choose from here? What do you think about that? Finding out what the students then want and trying to tailor the timetables and the syllabus content based on the needs of the student instead of dictating to them that you either do this or that.
I think that trying to tailor to the needs of the students will lead to a greater improvement in their results at end of term exams, because if you give the children the choice to do the subject that they actually want to do and intend to do, then you will more like often than not see an improvement in their final results or end of term results. And giving them the option to go to a class that they actually are willing to or are interested in learning, that will further boost them to want to get up to go to school in the morning instead of fighting sleep or trying to find a reason why it's worth going to school. They have a reason to look forward to it because they know that they can get to choose what it is they want to do that day.
And this thing about doing 13, 14, 15, 16, somebody from Guyana, I think, or Trinidad got maybe 27 subject, 26 subject with 24 ones. Do you think that that would take some degree of cramming? Because if you take into consideration when you're doing sciences, you have to do about 16 SBAs or even 23, 21. How much help did that person get with these SBAs? Because 20 something subject, you must have sciences in between there. And for each science, you have to do about 23 SBAs. Do you think that it is high time we come down to about 8 subjects maximum, and you have a skill set in between there to be integrated? Because you start from school, you pipe GP, you don't know how to do anything. Something wrong with your car, you don't know how to do anything. A fuse blow, you feel like the whole thing on blow up, you don't know anything about electricity. You don't think that they should reduce the number of subjects and maybe let somebody hold on to a skill set, so at least something of a practical value they can do in their household or in their yard, in their garage, wherever. What do you think of that? Yes.
I absolutely agree with you. I feel like this government or the school system should incorporate more vocational skills for the children to adapt. Because in life, sometimes these subjects don't help us. It's the skills that make us get a way of living. And I honestly feel like this will really better our nation and help us to become more diverse and more open-minded with certain career fields.
I also agree with Mr. Nital and what he said earlier, because a skill, generally speaking, if you have your subjects, like 8 subjects and a skill, you're most likely to get a job than someone who just has their subjects, because the skill, it can, depending on the job you're going for, it can be very useful. And the employer, when they see that you have a skill that's beneficial to the job or the role that you're applying for, they would more likely choose you over someone who just has the theoretical knowledge, and you who have the physical capability to properly operate or contribute to the company how the employer sees fit.
And I know you are so correct, because there are so many, for example, chemistry students who might have gotten a distinction in chemistry. And you take them to the brewery, you take them somewhere in a lab, and some of them don't know the first thing to do. They can't differentiate between a beaker, a conical, a burette, a pipette, because the SBAs are a lot of the theoretical side of things. And when they go into the world of work and they have to demonstrate the fact that they would have gotten an 100% for the SBA, they don't know where to turn in the lab, and that is a problem.
Yeah, you
And
always.
our physics labs are so poorly equipped that a lot of improvisation usually would have to take place. I could physics exam down at CFBC, and the exam started in the morning, and because of the improvisation that had to be carried out, it finished like 10, 11 o'clock in the night because they had to improvise. Our physics lab are poorly equipped, and I think that is where the problem is. And by the way, I think before we came down, Tovio had the opportunity to talk to my daughter, NewRish and Nital, and she wanted to wish you all well. She's now saying well spoken. The ability to articulate is superb for the age. And so she's listening. She's a professor, so she should have some competence there with respect to adjudicating in that area. And I must let the listening public know that, well, we have a young test between us who would have done 2 exams recently, and English was one, and she got a distinction. She has just now gone, and we want to really commend her and say congratulations for getting that distinction in English. And she also got a 2. I'm of this strong belief that whenever if she decides to do over the math, she can get a distinction easily. So let us congratulate her for getting that distinction in English, and that is why the listening public is saying that you're all very articulate, and I think that it has been demonstrated. Let us take a break, acknowledge our sponsor, and then we'll be back.
Welcome to the customer support. We have made it easier for you to contact us. It starts with your question, email, a message, phone call, or a search on our website. Our CSP provides prompt and efficient solutions to your problems.
Of some aspects that we would like to look at. Usually, when we need technical and science help, we tend to get consultants from overseas because we're not putting sufficient emphasis on science, math, and technology. Now, I would like to ask 4 of you, each one, to explain to me what are your intentions upon leaving school? What do you want to become? become? Why do you want to become that? What benefit it will be to you and to our society? Let us start with Jeremy. What do you wish to become upon completing school, your academics, your skill set?
Upon completing school and academics, I wanted to become a marine biologist. I still want to, um, because for me, I always grew up around the ocean, and my father was a fisherman growing up. That's how he started his business, and that's how he has Kenneth Dive Center today.
I think you should let them know that it's Kenneth with Kenneth Dive Center.
So,
One of the better divers we have around here.
yeah, he
Yes.
had the first dive center on the island. So that's how he came about, from going after school to catching fish, spear fishing, those kind of stuff. That's how he made a living for himself and his family. That's how he took care of his mother. And I saw a lot of potential in getting into the marine industry, because there's a lot of things to be, there's a lot of benefit to getting into it, and there's a lot of things that you can get out of it. There's also a lot of, I would say, there's a lot of money involved, but you have to know what it is you're doing and how to properly sustain the ecosystem, because overfishing and coral bleaching, those are two major problems we are facing right now, especially in St. Kitts, because all of these young fishermen, they're going out and spearfishing juveniles before they reach sexual maturity. So that's a great impact on the population of fish on our reefs. And on top of that, coral bleaching is also killing off our reefs. So we can't exactly do anything to prevent that, because of global warming and
Climate change.
other issues that we have no control over. But allowing the fish to stay longer and reach sexual maturity to reproduce and sustain themselves and the reefs, that would be a great help.
So marine biology.
Marine biology, I wanted to get into it because since I've been 6 or 7, I started diving, and I noticed in the past 5 to 6 years, there's been a great decline in the amount of fish on spots that we dive regularly. And I wanted to find out mostly the cause of this. At first, I thought it was because of the invasive species lionfish, because they have no natural predators and they eat a lot of the native fish that we have here. And I came to find out, after doing a little bit of research for myself, I came across marine biology and what it's about, and the research and all the stuff involved in it. And it intrigued me at first, and then I started to look deeper into it, and I see it's something that I can take on and get a lot out of, because I can already dive and I enjoy doing it, so might as well do some research while I'm at it.
Okay, thank you very much. That is very interesting, because most persons look landwards when they're looking jobs, but there are many jobs available in the marine environment, and we do not really explore that possibility. We have to stand and see what if the jobs on land become too limited. Joseph?
Me personally, I've always wanted to be an actor. Actor, comedian, still want to be one. But as of now, in my life, I like to give myself towards architecture, carpentry. My father is a carpenter. He carpenters a lot, and because of that, I always wanted to do it with him. Carpentry and architecture will help build our nation and our government entirely. I really want to touch on those type of things and help our country in the future by being a part of that. Yeah, that's basically what I
So you're going in this just because when your birthday comes $500 per member.
Huh?
You could be tired. Okay. Taco?
In the future, I would like to pursue a career in forensic psychology. This is because at first I wanted to become a lawyer because of my profound interest in the law and the way our country operates. But then I also had an interest in the way the mind operates and psychology. So then I did research and I found out that I can incorporate both of these by studying forensic psychology. The reason I wanted to do this because I love St. Kitts and I always wanted to contribute back to my home land, because I will never forget where I come from, and I want to see St. Kitts really benefit from this, and I want to really create a way for me to contribute back to the people of my homeland.
Are you aware that you're a teacher forensic psychologist? Wow. I am a forensic psychologist. I have a master's in forensic psychology, and I'm now finishing a doctorate in clinical psychology. And I also have a law degree. So most of the time you go forensic psychology and you understand why people commit crimes. You know, you have, last night they had a program here and one, the host was saying that she wanted to get into people that they want to commit those vicious crimes. And I was tempted to call in and explain to her that in a psychopath, the part of the brain that is responsible for empathy is underdeveloped in them. So they will commit these crimes without having any kind of empathy for anybody. And it is a lovely area, lovely area. I don't know if you have another forensic psychologist around, but I did enjoy doing it. But you can take it in a step further and do a doctorate in it. And then you wouldn't want to fall short. You do your first degree, your second degree, and then you do your doctorate. What about your Edmund, what you want to become?
Okay, at first in primary school I wanted to become a veterinarian, but from time I come to high school and explore all different subjects and explored accounts. I really got interested in accounts, even though sometimes it might be difficult. I kind of like it, and I would like to do it. I would like to have my own accounting firm, go to university, get my master's. I have an auntie doing accounting in TDC. She really inspired me. And yeah, she said accounting having money. So yeah.
Something you can't get, something you cannot get see either. When the balance sheet doesn't balance,
And
you have to stop and look for that penny, 5 cents. Because when you do not get it balanced, maybe the owners of the business might presume that you want to do something onwards. But Nital Institute of Superior on behalf of accounts up there. And we've been doing that for over 25 years. So in the event that you have any desire and there is a need for help, you could always check out Nital's Institute of Superior Learning. I think that we have a good blend: marine biologist, architect, and carpenter. And we have the forensic psychologist, and now we have an accountant. That is so good. Sometimes in life, you have to realize there must be a plan B. So I was expecting you all tell me if this doesn't work out, then I'll go for. Because I would have had to shift many times. And you could see from to forensic psychology, to law, and I'm not even certain. So something you have to shift, because what you want is that when St. Kitts had a high crime rate, I said, well, somebody got to try to understand with these guys where we are by 30 something, and we were known as the murder capital of the entire world. And I said, what can I do for my country? If I better understand why people do this, I would be of a great help to them. And maybe this is why I ended up at the center of the peace process. But once you understand, and then even after that, you realize guys getting into trouble, they don't have any money to defend themselves. Sometimes they need to put a submission together, and they're not doing it well. I said, well, let me do a law degree and be of help to them. And I have made submission on behalf of so many of them at different levels. And I teach them how to represent themselves. The last person got out for about 10 years. So sometimes what's going on around you. And your natural propensity to help. You calculate what I do to help the people around me. And my thing is always skewed towards helping poor people. You understand? So you have to look for the least amongst us and see the greatest good you can do for the greatest number of them. And I think that is where your blessings would come from. It's not always something that would pay you and give you 10 houses. It's a matter of you getting satisfaction from what you're doing. When you look around and see how many persons you would have helped, I mean, some of them have bank books now can choke horses. My bank book can even choke an ant. But my satisfaction comes from the good that I would have done for so many people. So you must always give back. And whatever you learn, you must also try to teach. Because none of us will be here forever. You understand? Always be willing to impact. Always be willing to impact. And you come back, your first thing is to your community. Which community am I living in? What is need in my community? And you try to see what you can do. I will tell you something. After the incident at the primary school, Obadiah Williams Primary School, I realized how distraught the students and the teachers were. And I decided, look, they had a course on crisis management. 2 days would have already gone. I would have been late for it. And I called the university and tell them I'm interested in doing that. Just because of what I saw the children experiencing and the parents and the teachers. And I did the course. I told the head teacher about it. And of course, I put my grades on the internet. And I was happy to do it, to help. And then I realized that you have a lot of people in our society who are suffering from traumas. There are something called post-traumatic stress disorder. Once you experience a trauma, whenever the triggers them come up again, it would create a re-experiencing of that trauma. And I said, how could I help people apart from offering them therapy eventually? Something else must be done because people who would have had traumas, they also experience nightmares. They could hardly sleep properly and they dream a lot of bad things. And my second to last course I did was interpreting dreams. Because if I could interpret your dream, it puts me in a better position to offer you therapy overall. So you can tell me what you dream and I can give you the whole 9 yards as to why that happened and the indications and that sort of stuff. And just because I know that counseling alone cannot work by itself. If you can interpret the dreams that people have, then make yourself a more wholesome stakeholder in trying to assist them. Let us take a break, acknowledge our sponsor, and come back.
Welcome to the customer support portal. We're making it easier for you to contact us. It starts with your question, email.
Business loans, student loans, we make a positive difference in your
Welcome back to Fear in Our Favor. The aspect that tourism is the backbone of our economy. I don't think that we had a great plan going into tourism when we started. It's just that it was the default industry. After the sugar industry, we would have been composed and we finished away with it because it was so expensive to maintain. Now, we are very vulnerable. It's a very risky thing to have tourism as a backbone of our economy when so many things could happen. We saw what happened to COVID. When we had these things on our shelves, the boats were not coming and employment went down. We see what's happening with Ukraine. Every time they have a little disturbance between Russia and somebody, we are impacted. What other industry do you think that our federation, okay, let us just think it, can really try to develop in order to supplement tourism or even eventually have it replace it and take the major part of it and keeping tourism as just a minor industry. What do you think we can explore? Talk on.
I honestly feel like we can explore agriculture
Mhm.
because this then leads for opportunities for us to support ourselves. We can grow our own food instead of having imports which can rise due to inflation.
And then most of our inflation is imported inflation. So it's in another country, we cannot help but keep the prices from going up. Joseph,
I agree with Tucker said. Tory, yeah, I agree with Tucker said. Agriculture is a great prospect to look upon because we can rely greatly on it, and tourism cripples us because of the fact that during COVID we did not have any boats coming in, and that really put a damper on the economy entirely.
Edmund, what industry you think we can take? I mean agriculture, but what crops? What type of crops we can do? Or could we take it to the next level and do agro processing? Process the food that we grow around here.
Like, you mean like dry them up You mean like dry the fruit?
Process them. We could do mango. We could do so many things.
Plantain,
Coconut.
plantains. Yeah,
What?
we could process and sell them. We could make money like that. Sell them to the supermarkets and so on.
Jeremy.
I believe that tourism shouldn't have been the backbone of our economy so soon because as we've seen due to COVID, the tourism is quite unstable when it comes to things that may happen randomly, such as an outbreak in a certain disease or virus that may hinder or put a very, very good amount of load or strain on the flow of the ships coming in and having to deal with tourists coming to visit the island. The tourism industry is not very predictable when it comes to these sort of things, so going into it so quickly and with almost full force, it's a very risky move, but fortunately it seems as though we had made enough to support ourselves through COVID, the 2 years that we were shut down for, and the ships were sailing at half capacity. That also greatly affected the business that I work in because we depend heavily on tourists to come and give us business on the ships. So they're not coming at full capacity, and after they weren't coming max capacity, very few people interested in doing the kind of services that we offer, such as dives and snorkeling trips or recreational activity. I think that we should have kept agriculture as the backbone of our society. Even after sugar, we could have gone in different crops. Corn is very easy to grow, and we have very fertile soil here in St. Kitts, and so it wouldn't have been a very hard transition to move from sugarcane to corn or other crops that are commonly found in the Caribbean region.
Okay, excellent. I like that. Now we are on the verge of giving ganja growers a bit of freedom. They might be decriminalizing it. They might be giving out acre plans so that people can legally plant marijuana. And basically, the trajectory is to build out the ganja industry, the weed industry. What caution you think that they must take in trying to make this industry experience the liberty, freedom that most persons would want it to experience in order for us to move forward as a society as a whole? What precautions they must take in the attempt to, let us say, free up the marijuana?
I feel like they should pay attention to the age ranges that they administer marijuana to, because younger ages, they might not be as developed as older persons, and marijuana might affect their development. and growth in life.
Yes, because once ago we used to say the brain is not fully developed until the age of 25. But a recent documentary on CNN indicated that they're taking it up to 30 now, that the brain is very much danger from smoking before you reach the age of 30. So they have to put on very strong rules regarding students especially and people under 21. And now CNN documentary is telling us that we have to be more mindful of persons under 30. But the youngsters, the status, they can't even smoke, they're choking. You hear them coughing bottle, you hear them coughing St. Paul's. They're smoking more and more and more, and the more experienced smokers. No, we done had 2 spliffs solely there, so I ain't gonna take any more. But the younger ones, spliff after spliff after spliff after spliff after spliff, and then they're going to sleep. Not a single contribution to social security for people who already worked hard and would be expecting the benefit when the time comes.
I think that the legal age for smoking should be higher than the one for drinking, or that the one for drinking and smoking, if they get around to that. Well, they will get around to it eventually. That's the direction it seems to be going in. It should be raised because, like they said, the brain is not fully developed until you are at least 25. So the legal limit age for smoking should be around where you are not at any immediate risk of any brain damage or brain trauma, especially for students. I don't think people who are still in primary or secondary school should even be allowed to partake in smoking. They should not be able to be selling weed to these kind of people. But still, there will be people who will do it under the belt if they pass laws such as to limit the sale of marijuana to people under the age of 16 or 18 or 21. But this is to be expected, and legalization of marijuana, it will not happen right away or right now or very soon, but it seems to be coming around
Eventually.
But people smoking it in public. You smoking and people who don't want to smoke, you have them inhaling secondary smoke.
And secondhand smoke itself is more dangerous than the person who is initially smoking, because when you inhale secondhand smoke, there's not exactly a way for you to get it out of your lungs.
You're not pulling it in and blowing it out.
Yeah, you're not pulling it in, you're inhaling it. So when you inhale it,
Yeah.
it stays and it settles, and that can lead to a detrimental impact on your lungs. So being around secondary smokers, especially cigarette smoke, that's very detrimental to your health.
Very.
And I think that they should make it so that if you're smoking in public, you have to be in either a very open and well ventilated area, or we just say you can't smoke in public, but like at home or in your own yard or in your personal space.
When you smoke could be a nuisance to your neighbor. What if your neighbor complains?
Well, that's a possibility, but what exactly they could do about that if you're in your own yard?
That is interesting. But if you play your radio too loud, they could call police.
Yeah, that's noise pollution, but
Right, this is nuisance. This is air pollution. And something you may feel, well, as a chemist, okay, I don't want to inhale marijuana, the smoking, I got to inhale it. But let's set up my experiment and let you inhale some hydrogen sulfide. How would that be?
You kill me.
Right.
But
So you always have to put yourself in somebody else's position. Suppose this person was to let off a particular gas in your vicinity and your cause to inhale. How would you like it yourself? People, we got to wrap up. We're going up on 10. I would like you all to give some advice.
My advice to the younger generation, specifically people under the age of 18 or 21, is to not engage in too much drinking or smoking, even though you shouldn't do it at all. But even if you start to do it already, don't overdo it and don't abuse the substance. Just keep it at a manageable level, as to where you can handle yourself and think clearly and make good decisions, even though you may or may not be either high or intoxicated. And please don't drive if you are intoxicated or have done drugs. So just take care of yourselves and look out and after your friends and me too.
Joseph.
My view on it, take keep yourself, stay protected in everything you do. Stay safe, don't get in any trouble, don't get into any kind of conflict and get yourself in any type of danger. Do what you have to do to get through life, but don't do anything to hindrance anybody else.
Okay, thank you. Stand straight and now do not take the broad path.
My advice would be to think before you do or say anything that could potentially hurt someone, and also to be who you are, be self aware, know what you want in life, and do not let anyone try and hinder you from chasing your true dreams.
And evening so doing, you must have some self-care. Gotta care about yourself. Admit.
My advice is for the youths and younger boys to don't get involved in any like gangs and focus on your education and your future and work hard for what you want in life.
Okay, good. On that note, we have come to the end of our session. I would like to thank those of you who message, those of you who listen, those of you who would critique, and I prefer that you critique the youngsters and criticize them, show them where they could have been stronger, show them their weaknesses and where they could improve and fill that void. And I would like to say thank to the technician, Lourdes, for helping us out so nicely and setting up the environment that is most conducive for facilitating us. And then finally to our sponsor, the Development Bank, for the continued supply of oxygen for the sustenance of this all-important social program. Thank you.
The opinions and statements made by the host and participants in this program are not those of the owners, advertisers, and management company of City FM 90.3.